Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
So I guess just to start off, kind of tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been doing it, and kind of what services you offer.
Okay. So my name's Grant Vanderyacht. I'm an attorney in Colorado. And before I met Matt, I had practiced for several years, more than a decade in Colorado. And I took a extended leave, roughly 3 years, and left the state and practiced in another state and then came back. And so I was facing a daunting task of rebuilding my local business. I still had a little bit of a reputation among friends and former clients, but I moved to a different county, so it wasn't like they were all able to provide me really with enough workflow to sustain myself. And so when I tried to get started, I went to a few networking events and met you, and you came out and you said, look, I'm good at what I do. And it was funny because the hook that you had that was probably most appealing and demented was that you said, I don't care if you can't afford me. Yeah. If you want my service, you're going to pay me. Yeah. And I was like, that's a person who knows his value. And it was enough for me to say, I can't call BS. I think I'm interested. Yeah. And so we did our first attempt at putting together some videos, and I was not at all a believer, not in the slightest. And within the first week, it was stupid how many new calls I got. It was just stupid. And clients from all parts of Colorado started calling me as if I was an expert on subjects that I did not feel personally confident enough to say I'm the industry expert. And now, after working with you for a year, there's no doubt I'm the expert on all of those subjects locally. And the growth has continued. When I first started, the clients that I was engaging with were $500 of a project value to $5,000. Now I'm looking at, $5 million to $50 million. So the asset class, the client class has all increased. The volume has increased. We've added 4 new paralegals. We've added 3 attorneys. That's exponential growth for 1 year. Mm-hmm. 1 year? And I'm getting calls from outside of the state asking me to do stuff. So without any doubt, it's been worth it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's been so fun to, whenever we would meet to film, it's always I'm like, so what's happened now? Yeah, I get excited because I want, and you've texted me and you've told me when stuff is hit, but then, there's been some times where you're like, oh, let me tell you, before we start filming, I need to tell you about this. And then that's when I start getting excited.
I had a client, and I've told you about this before, but I had a client, one of my first clients that came off of a TikTok that you did, contacted me, and I made plenty of money on that initial transaction. But that initial transaction was in a community that I don't have any traction in. I never had traction. This is an upper end scale client. And, the value of that was like $50,000, which was probably the most a single client had paid to me to that date. He called me about 3 months later and he said, I trust you. I like you. I need some advice. And I started conversing with him, and his business was in trouble. And I ended up giving him some advice that got his business out of trouble. And he threw me a tip, and I was like, oh, that's really kind of you. It turned out that the tip was for 10% of his business. Yeah. And that was a $400,000 tip. Yeah. What?
Off of TikTok.
Off of TikTok.
Yeah.
I made $400,000 off of a video that you did on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't explain the returns on investment.
Right.
Those numbers don't compute to me. And that relationship is still continuing today, where that tip was just the beginning of what has happened since, just in the past 2 months.
Yeah. And the part I love about that particular story and that video that that happened with is that you have progressively gotten better and better and better on camera, more confident. And I mean, we obviously write scripts for you, but now you feel confident to go off. And I think the video, that was like one of your first ones where you just shot from the hip. You're like, I think I know this. I think I can do this. And you did it. Yeah. And so it's fun to see even the growth and like how confident you are in your brand and the service that you can provide.
Well, I'm realizing that it's a vacuum out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, there's a lot of talking heads. There aren't a lot of people who have the skill set to back it up with any kind of substance. And so I'm growing into that assertiveness, into being comfortable being that guy who's able to be on a podcast or on a video talking about legal issues generally. I mean, it's funny because when you first came to me, you said you need to be an expert in just your field, and we really need to focus on that niche. Yeah. But my generic role as an attorney, where I really am a generalist, is proving out to show that I know this subject extremely well, and I know this subject extremely well. Mm-hmm. And across all of these different subject matters, we're doing video after video after video and conquering each niche in the legal field. And it's just been awesome for my business. Like now I'm hiring attorneys for my personal injury to handle that. So the calls come in, I'll take 10 to 16, it's about my average 10 to 16 new clients a day now. And I just delegate it to the attorney team that's going to handle it. It's a dream.
Yeah. So to back up just a little bit, I want to, I guess, talk a little bit about what were some of the other marketing things that you've tried over the years. Obviously, I feel like this one's different in what it can provide and what it can do. But I guess just for context for maybe somebody who's thinking about using our service, what are some of the other marketing things that you've done? And even some of the results, and they don't have to all be negative, but like, what are some of the other things you've done?
So Martindale Avo is a big one for attorneys. It's a platform where you essentially pay to play. It's a cost per click type scenario. You can order a certain number of impressions. It's really expensive, like $60 per impression, and they require a $400 a month subscription. I'm in those today. I got a call, I think it was even yesterday. Scary that time flies like that. But got a call, I think it was yesterday, saying, hey, you're doing really well on Martindale Avo. Have you been getting the leads? I don't know. Yeah. Because the quality of the leads are so terrible, I'm tired of chasing it. Yeah. Right? When people call and they know my name, it's different than when they call because they saw that I have the highest Avo rating on the internet. And so I'm really frustrated with that because they are supposed to be the industry leader in marketing for attorneys. And it's been, I feel like I'm a captured person in that I can't get out of their contract. I want to get out of their contract. Their leads are garbage. I don't even like following up on them. The systems that they have in place are annoying because they're not resulting in a call. They're resulting in a message that I have to respond to, or even worse, an open-ended online chat forum where if they don't like my response, they get to write a negative testimony about my communication. So I'm hesitant to even engage with it. I've tried Facebook, I've tried other social media on my own, and it takes way too much time out of my day. And part of that's because of where I've grown, right? So when I'm receiving that many phone calls, 10 to 16 new clients a day, I don't really have the time to chase down these other leads. Mm-hmm. Really, ultimately, the social media presence is making my phone ring. Yeah. And that's my intake process. Yeah. You call me and I answer.
Yeah. Well, and what I love and is always a selling point to me, because as a business owner, I want to be able to keep assets that I pay for. Oh, yeah. And one of the things that I, very, very much from the get-go is if something were to happen and you no longer used our service, you still walk away with so many valuable assets that do not go away the moment you stop paying.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. And those are compounding returns because those videos stay out there growing and growing and growing and growing. And people share it and share it and share it and share it. And the next thing you know, you're at breakfast and people get up and they're like, I saw you on TikTok. That's a cool experience.
So just the kind of the last question that I wanted to ask you is, what would you say to somebody who is on the fence about using this kind of service?
In truth, he says he's worth it. He's worth it. It's not demented. It's real, right? Matt and his team, the quality is what sells. Nobody wants a crappy attorney. They want a quality attorney. Nobody wants a crappy videographer. They want a quality videographer. And the content that Matt's putting out is worth it.
Well, thank you so much. Year one down. Can't wait to see what keeps happening.
That's 1 year. Yeah. This is nuts. The growth curve is like backwards.
Right. It's just like the growth that you've seen is just, I get so excited about it. That I get pumped up about it.
I haven't even really been able to sit back and figure out what has happened. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, this is not, I mean, it's not something necessarily to brag about being a workaholic, but going from struggling to get business to the last 6 weeks doing, I can't even count them, probably 2 weeks of all-nighters where I'm working straight through the night to finish my workload. It's a great thing when you can't fulfill the demand for your service fast enough. We tried raising our rates. So we went from, I mean, when I first started, I was 165 an hour. I'm at 500 an hour. It's not stopping. Right. The demand for my service is pushing way beyond my capacity to fulfill it, even with the additional attorneys and the additional staff that I've put on. So, amazing. It's just been amazing.